When the money ran out and the shelves went bare, a Nonna still put dinner on the table every night, and she did it by wasting nothing. Today, 25 food-saving tricks Italian nonnas used to survive the Great Depression, including the one that turns a bag of peelings you'd throw away into a golden stalk, and a number one that turns milk you'd pour away into fresh cheese. Let's get into it. Number 25. Grow free food from the very scraps you were about to bin. Most people slice the root end off a green onion, a stick of celery, or a head of lettuce and toss it straight in the trash. A Nonna in hard times knew better. She stood those root ends in a shallow glass of water on the windowsill, and within days, green shoots pushed up and the vegetable began to grow all over again. Fresh green onions, celery and lettuce leaves, sprouting for free on the kitchen sill out of what everyone else calls garbage. In a time when nothing could be spared, that little glass of water quietly kept on giving, and the next one kept eggs fresh for half a year with no fridge at all. Number 24. Keep eggs fresh for 6 months without a refrigerator. In the Depression, a hen laid plenty in the spring and almost nothing in the cold of winter, and there was no fridge to carry the eggs across the gap. So a Nonna preserved the spring glut. She packed clean, unwashed fresh eggs into a crock and covered them completely in a solution of water and slaked lime, or simply rubbed each shell with a thin film of fat to seal it, then kept them somewhere cool and dark. Sealed off from the air, the eggs stayed good for 6 months or more, ready for winter baking long after the hens had stopped. Nothing wasted in the good months, nothing lacking in the lean ones, and the next one keeps your vegetables sound the whole winter through. Number 23. Store potatoes, carrots, and onions so they last all winter. Bring home a sack of root vegetables, leave it in a warm kitchen, and within a few weeks the lot has sprouted and gone soft. A Nonna made them last for months. She kept them somewhere cool, dark, and dry. A cellar, a pantry, a box packed with sand or newspaper, with air able to move around them, and she always stored the onions well away from the potatoes, because sitting side by side, they make each other spoil far faster. Handled that way, a single harvest fed the family right through to spring, with never a sprouted, wasted potato, and the next one stretches 1 pound of meat to feed the whole table. Number 22. Make 1 pound of meat, feed twice as many. Meat was dear and scarce, so a Nonna almost never served it alone. She stretched it. Into a pound of minced meat, she'd work a couple of handfuls of breadcrumbs soaked in milk, or cooked oats, lentils or beans, before she shaped the meatballs, the meatloaf, or the ragu. The filler drank up all the meaty flavor and doubled the quantity, so a little meat fed a big family, and nobody at the table ever felt shortchanged. It's the humble secret hiding inside every good meatball to this very day. The same trick stretched a single pot of ragu across 3 days of pasta, so one Sunday's meat quietly fed the whole family right through the week. And the next one is the little jar that stood beside every stove. Number 21. Save every drop of cooking fat in the dripping jar. Today, people pour bacon grease and cooking fat straight down the drain without a thought. In the Depression, that fat was treasure. A Nonna kept a jar or an old tin right beside the stove and poured every last spoonful of leftover fat and dripping into it. That saved fat then became the cooking fat for everything else, frying the onions, spreading on bread in place of butter, enriching a thin soup, even rubbing into pastry, putting richness and flavor into meals that had almost nothing else in them. One little jar meant nothing was ever really used up, and the next one turns a bare carcass into days of dinner. Number 20. Turn a picked clean carcass and a few bones into days of soup. When the chicken or the Sunday roast was finished and only the bones were left, most of us would drop them in the bin, Nonna saw the makings of the next 3 dinners. She put the stripped carcass and bones into a big pot with water, an onion, and whatever vegetable ends she had by, and let it simmer low for hours into a deep, rich, nourishing broth. That broth then became a soup, the base for a risotto, or the liquid for a pot of beans. Real meals conjured out of what looked like nothing but scraps for the bin. If tricks like these are the wisdom you wish someone had passed down to you, subscribe and let's bring it all back together. And the next one makes a little milk go a very long way. Number 19. Make a little milk stretch to feed everyone. Milk was a luxury that spoiled fast and ran short, so Nonna never let a drop of it go to waste, and made what she had go much further. She scalded her fresh milk, heated it to just below the boil, which killed off what makes milk turn and kept it good far longer. And she stretched it, thinning richer milk with a little water for everyday use, or keeping tins of evaporated milk to water down for coffee, for baking, and for sauces. Every single cup did the work of 2, and she never poured the last soured drop away either. A splash of turned milk went straight into her bread and her pancakes. And the next one saves a whole summer's vegetables for the depths of winter. Number 18. Preserve a glut of vegetables so it lasts for months. When the garden gave far more than the family could eat at once, Nonna never let the surplus sit and rot. She preserved it. Peppers, aubergines, courgettes, and beans were packed into jars under vinegar and salt, or under oil, sott'ascetto and sott'olio, sealed tight and stored somewhere cool. Months later, in the dead of winter, with nothing fresh to be had anywhere, she opened a jar of summer and set it on the table. The peak of season glut that would have spoiled in a week became precious winter food. And the next one is the exact trick you clicked this video to see. Number 17. Never bin a single vegetable scrap. Turn a bag of them into free golden stock. This is the one on the thumbnail, and it's the trick that sums up everything Nonna believed about food. Every peeling, every papery onion skin, every carrot top, celery end, and herb stalk that most people scrape straight into the trash, she saved. She kept a bag of these scraps slowly filling up in a cool spot or the freezer, and when it was full, she tipped the whole lot into a big pot of water and simmered it low into a fragrant golden vegetable stock. That garbage became the rich base for all her soups, her risottos, and her sauces, deep flavor pulled out of thin air, for nothing but the peelings you were an inch from throwing away. Nothing bought, nothing wasted, and the whole kitchen left smelling wonderful. And the next one rescues the fruit going soft in your bowl. Number 16. Turn bruised, overripe fruit into something delicious instead of the bin. When the apples went soft, the bananas turned black, or the berries began to weep, Nonna didn't throw them out. That was exactly when they were at their sweetest. She cooked the overripe fruit down with a little sugar into a jam, a compote, or a fruit sauce, or baked it into a simple cake, and the bruises and the softness vanished into something you'd happily eat all week long. And here's the thing, Nonna fed a whole family like this, on pennies and scraps, wasting nothing at all, and every one of these tricks, with the recipes that bring them to life, is written down in Nonna's Handbook. The link is in the description below. Now, number 15, the cheapest cut of meat turned into a feast. Number 15, make the cheapest, toughest cut of meat melt in your mouth. Nonna couldn't dream of tender steak, so she bought the cheap, tough, forgotten cuts, the shin, the cheek, the neck, that everyone else passed over. Then she cooked them the only way that truly works, low and slow, gently simmered in a little liquid for hours, until all that tough connective tissue melted down into rich, tender, falling apart meat in a deep, savory sauce. The very cheapest thing at the butcher's counter became the best meal of the whole week, and the next one makes the summer last all the way through the year. Number 14. Dry tomatoes, herbs, and fruit to keep them all year long. With no freezer and a glut of ripe produce on her hands, a Nonna turned to the sun. She split tomatoes, laid out bunches of herbs, and sliced fruit onto trays in the hot summer sun for days, or later in a very low oven, until every bit of moisture was gone and they were dry and leathery. Dried like that, they kept for months in a jar, without ever spoiling, holding all their flavor locked in, concentrated and intense. A single tray of summer tomatoes became a whole winter's worth of rich, sweet flavor for the pot, and the next one uses the parts of the vegetable you always throw away. Number 13. Eat the whole vegetable. The parts you bin are food too. We peel and trim a vegetable and throw half of it away without a second thought. A Nonna cooked the lot, the leafy green tops of beetroots and carrots, the stalks of broccoli and chard, the outer leaves of a cabbage, the fronds of a fennel. All of it went into her soups, her sautés, her fillings, or was pounded into a pesto. Those throwaway parts are often just as full of flavor and goodness as the part you keep, and using them quietly doubled how far every single vegetable went, and the next one bottles the whole tomato harvest for winter. Number 12. Put up the tomato harvest to feed you all winter. This was the great ritual of a Nonna's year. When tomatoes were cheap and ripe by the crateful, she and the whole family gave over a day to turning them into passata, cooking them down, passing them through a mill, and sealing the sauce into jars. Those jars of bottled summer sunshine lined the pantry shelves and fed the family right through the winter, sauce after sauce, long after fresh tomatoes were gone and far too dear to buy. And nothing from that long day was wasted either. The skins and seeds left behind in the mill were dried and saved to thicken the next batch. And the next one stretches your morning coffee. Number 11. Make a little coffee go a very long way. Coffee was an expensive luxury that ran out fast, so a Nonna eked hers out. She stretched the grounds with roasted chicory root, or roasted barley and grain, which brew up dark and coffee-like for a fraction of the cost. The famous wartime and depression café that carried families through the lean years. And she never threw the grounds out after a single use, coaxing a second, weaker pot from them. Just a pinch of the real thing could flavor a whole pot, and the next one saves the oil you've been pouring straight down the sink. Number 10. Strain and reuse your frying oil instead of pouring money away. Good oil and fat cost real money, and throwing it all out after a single fry was simply unthinkable. Once the oil had cooled, a Nonna strained it through a cloth or a fine sieve to take out all the little burnt bits, then kept it in a clean jar to use again and again. Kept clean like that, the very same oil fried several more meals before it was finally used up in something else entirely. Not a single spoonful wasted, and the next one gives you next year's vegetables for free. Number 9. Save the seeds and grow next year's food for nothing. A packet of seeds or a tray of seedlings cost money a Nonna often just didn't have, so she made her garden pay for itself. From the very best tomatoes, peppers, beans, and squash of the season, she scooped out and dried the seeds and stored them away for spring. Come the new year, those free saved seeds became a whole new garden of food, season after season, without ever buying another packet. Each harvest quietly paid for the next one, and the next one keeps precious meat without any fridge at all. Number 8. Preserve meat for months with nothing but salt. Long before refrigeration, a Nonna made precious meat last through the whole year by curing it, packed in salt or laid in a salt brine, and often hung to air dry in a cool, airy place. The meat slowly lost the moisture that lets it spoil, and kept for months. It's the very origin of every cured salami, pancetta, and prosciutto. And when fresh meat was scarce, a little of that cured meat, sliced paper thin, could flavor a whole pot of beans or a plate of pasta. a single leg of pork stretched across an entire winter, and the next one builds rich flavor out of almost nothing. Number 7. Build a rich flavor base out of odds and ends. When there was barely anything in the house, a nonna could still make it taste like something, and it always started with the sofrito. A little of that saved fat or oil, and the ends of an onion, a carrot, and a stick of celery, very often the exact bits other people threw straight in the bin, cooked down slowly together until soft, sweet, and fragrant. That humble little base gave real depth and richness to a pot of beans, a thin soup, or a plain plate of pasta, making a meal of almost nothing taste like it had been simmering away all day. And the next one stretches one pot of soup to feed more mouths. Number 6. Stretch a pot of soup to feed however many turned up. When there were more mouths at the table than the pot had been made for, a nonna never once turned anyone away. She stretched it, a little more water, and a good handful of beans, rice, pasta, or a chopped up potato thrown in, and the same pot of soup swelled to feed twice as many, every bit as filling and hearty as before. It's the whole spirit of cucina povera, a pot that always, somehow, has room for one more. And the next one turns wine that's gone off into something useful. Number 5. Never pour out wine that's turned, make it into vinegar. When a little wine was left too long and went sour, a nonna didn't tip it down the sink. She turned it into vinegar, left open to the air with a mother. Sour wine naturally becomes wine vinegar, free vinegar for dressing the salad, for preserving her vegetables, and for cleaning the kitchen. And wine that was only just on the turn, still perfectly fine to cook with, went straight into the pot to enrich a sauce or a stew. The bottle you'd have poured away just kept on giving, and the next one squeezes a whole second meal out of tonight's dinner. Number 4. Cook once and eat twice. Turn last night's leftovers into a brand new meal. Nothing left on the table ever went into the bin. But a nonna didn't simply reheat the same tired plate the next day. She remade it into something new. Yesterday's boiled meat became the stuffing for a pie or a vegetable. Leftover risotto was pressed and fried into golden, crisp little cakes. Cooked vegetables went into a frittata or a soup. The second meal very often tasted even better than the first, and a single cooking quietly fed the family twice over, and the next one wastes nothing at all from the animal. Number 3. Waste nothing from the animal. Every last part had its use. On the rare day a family was lucky enough to have meat, a nonna used every single part of the animal, from nose to tail. The bones went to broth, the fat was rendered down and saved, the tougher cuts were braised long and slow, the offal, the liver, the heart, became rich dishes all of their own, and even the skin and the trotters gave body and richness to a stew. Nothing was ever thrown away, because quite simply nothing could be. It's a respect for food and a way of eating well on very little that we have almost completely forgotten. And the next one is the everyday pot that swallowed every last scrap. Number 2. The weekly pot that swallowed every last scrap in the kitchen. In a nonna's kitchen there was always one pot whose whole job was to make sure absolutely nothing went to waste. The minestrone. Every odd end from the week found its way into it. The last of the beans, a lonely handful of pasta, the outer leaves of a cabbage, the wilting vegetables, a saved Parmesan rind, the golden scrap stock from earlier. Simmered slowly together, all those bits and pieces, each one far too little to be a meal on its own, became a big, rich, nourishing pot that fed the whole family for days. Waste, quite literally, turned into dinner. And now, number 1. The one that turns milk you were about to throw away into fresh cheese. Number 1. Turn milk that's about to spoil into fresh cheese. This is the one that people can't quite believe until they see it with their own eyes, and it's the purest example there is of a nonna wasting nothing. When the milk was just beginning to turn, and everyone else would pour it away in disgust, she made cheese out of it. She gently warmed the milk and stirred in a splash of something sharp, a little lemon juice or a drop of vinegar, and right there in the pot, the milk separated into soft white curds and thin, watery whey. She strained the curds through a cloth, and there it was, a bowl of fresh, simple ricotta-style cheese made from milk that was minutes from the sink. And even the leftover whey went into her bread and her soup. Nothing, not one single drop, was ever truly wasted. That, more than any other trick, was the secret that carried a family through the hardest years there ever were. It was never a recipe, it was simply how you survived and ate well while you did it. So there they are, 25 food-saving tricks Italian nonnas used to survive the Great Depression and to eat well the whole time they did it. None of it was ever written down, because it wasn't a recipe, it was the hard-won wisdom of women who could feed a family on almost nothing and never waste a crumb. Learn even a few of these and you'll spend less, throw almost nothing away, and eat richer for it, exactly the way they did. And in a time when everyone's watching every dollar again, it might just be the most useful thing a nonna ever taught. If you want the whole collection gathered in one place, with the recipes that go with them, it's all written down in Nonna's Handbook, linked in the description below. And that big cast iron pot a nonna cooked nearly all of this in, how she cleaned it, seasoned it, and kept it going for a lifetime, is in the video on your screen right now, so go and watch that one next. Subscribe, and let's keep bringing back the wisdom the world was starting to forget.